Hello students, welcome to today's session. So in this session, we are going to see about big data analytics. So big data analytics, before that we are going to see about what is in their data analytics. So data which is collected from the environment, that is through the help of the sensors, which can be organized by acquiring from the devices. So this is what somewhat organized, having the device data which is acquired from the environment, which can be used for multiple purpose. So that purpose, the applications may vary. So that is usually using the data of devices, that is basically in two ways. One is monitoring and another one is reporting. So and with the and another thing is that the rule based actions. So these functions which enables the data to be analyzed. So for example, in Internet of Street Lights, so application, this application which has seen in the first unit. So it is the fact, the data which is collected and taking the decision based on those facts. So for example, in Internet of automatic vending machines, that is chocolate vending machines, which can be analyzed, used for analytics, that new facts which can be found, and those facts can be enabled for taking the decisions. So and for decisions and to move to the new options. So what is the option? So in order to maximize the profit and in order to receive what is the data, and it can be analyzed and increasing the profit. So this is what data analytics meant to be. So here the big data, which is meant for the four types: data of high volume, data of high veracity, data of high variety, and data of higher velocity. So these are all the four concepts which are going to deal with the big data. So here the big data which is having a large number of data. So here the variety, which is first one, we are going to see about the structured as well as the unstructured data in different formats. So and this data, variety of data, which has no SQL, that is a structured query language, which can be applicable. So here the big data, which is having the extreme amount of data, and it also named to be the higher variety of data. So higher accumulation of data, which can be analyzed with the help of those applications. And the multi-structured data, when compared to database maintenance, that is relational database maintenance, which maintains more structured data. So structured data having the flow chart. So here the what kind of data has been acquired and what kind of data has been analyzed. So it is and that is a common path. So next one is the higher velocity. So here the velocity means the data which can be received with higher rates. So here the data which is acquired from the devices, which is which can be capable of sending the data with and saving the data with higher rates. So the transferring of data which is higher when compared to the data of higher volume. So due to the usage of number of sources of data. So by increasing the number of sources of data, we can get the higher rates of data which is to be maintained and which is to be analyzed for further purpose. And data which is having a higher veracity. So it includes the variation in data quality for analytics. So this kind of data which can be analyzed. So variation in data which can be used for quality analytics. So and then the for example, in filtering the data which is above, removing the anonymous data and non-standard data and not cross-reference data. So here the big data, which is simply refers to the usage of predictive analysis or other advanced methods which can extract the value from the data. So here the big data which is having a table, it is like a database which is having the no structured query language. So this table which contains the database of no SQL. So here because the both the unstructured data and the structured data which is capable of saving and used for analytic purpose. So here the extreme amount of data with additional information which is situational information. For example, information which is from the analysis of date, time period, or festival days or holidays, and data of different locations and contextual informations, which means the data which is gathered in specific context. So here this table which is having a NoSQL big data database and having a mapping of two string values, that is arbitrary string values, into an associated arbitrary byte array. So here there is two types of key. One is a row key and a column key. So here the structured data which is organized in the rows and columns. So here the time stamping. So when the data has been acquired and what time, which includes the hours, minutes, and seconds format. So it is a three-dimensional mapping one. So big data, it is a multi-structured data, while RDM, that is a relational database management system, which maintains the more structured data. So the open source software can be used for organizing these data and analyzing these data. So and then a mapping. So mapping, which is referred to a relational database, which is having the two number of keys. One is the row key and another one is the column key. So here the mapping can be considered with a sparse data, that is which is the data which can be scattered in the database and it is thinly dispersed. So and for a distributed multi-dimensional sorted mapping. So here the table can handle up to hundreds or thousands of distributed computing nodes. Here the nodes where the more number of data can be accumulated. So there might be a one advantage of mapping. Yes, here it is the simplest method of adding more number of nodes. So that will be the big data analytics. So here the big data which is used for analytics having the filtered data after removing the anomalous data. So there is an unwanted data or a non-standard and not cross-referred data. So that the data, all the data can be used for reference, but the referenced data, crossed data, and anomalous data are not standard data which can be used for big data analytics. So the analytics need the trusted table. So this is what the main requirement for data analysis. So the tools which can be used for open source software, that is Hadoop and MapReduce from the Apache software. So this is one of the tool which is used for big data analytics. It enables the storage and analysis of the massive amounts of data. So Hadoop file system, which is a library of machine learning algorithms. So it is having a machine learning algorithms and Macout and Hive SQL. HiveQL, that is a SQL based scripting language software that is also used for big data analytics in the Hadoop ecosystem. And also the MapReduce, it is one of the programming model and having the core of Hadoop. So these tools which can be used for big data analytics. So for example, we are going to see about the Hadoop. So this performs a batch processing. So main advantage is the batch processing. Here the data can be processed in terms of batches. It is an open source framework for accessing the data in a sequential manner. So one type of batch and one batch, for example, there are 3 batches which contains 30 number of data. So each batch will be segregated into 10 number of data. So that is a batch. So batch 1, batch 2, batch 3. In order to increase the data processing and also efficient manner. So this is one of the advantage of processing. Hadoop performs the batch processing. So a new data set which results from the input data that also processed sequentially. And it is having a HBase. So the database for a big data which can be stored, or the data which can be handled having the HBase. So here the accessing of data which is a random one. So where we can access the data which can be used for analytic purpose can be selected randomly. So it provides the fast lookup from the large table. So it has a big table, and that big table which is required and it is mentioned with a specified number so that we can easily pick up the data. So and it is having a small latency. The latency is a time interval once the time is fetched. So once the data is fetched and the response time. So that is the difference between the time interval is called a latency. So this latency also having a smaller one. So that in case of larger handling, the latency will become a tedious one and it is a time consumption process. So database using the big hash tables and also considering the Google's big data. So it is equal to a Hadoop. So and then another one is a HiveQL. So HiveQL is a scripting language software with the help of a SQL, like a SQL. So structured query language. It is used in Hadoop ecosystem and a collection of related entities having a Hadoop components. So it is a hive means it is like a bird which is derived from honeybees. So it is the honeybee which is having a hives. So it is like a hive structure, bee like a structure. MapReduce is a programming model and a core of Hadoop. It is having a large number of data sets onto a cluster of nodes with the help of MapReduce concept. So it is the same node which runs the algorithm using the